if this is such a terrific thing, why do markets think it's so terrible for the American economy? Maybe the market's just completely wrong, but job of markets is to look forward. It's to look past the immediate. It's to see what the long-run consequences are going to be. And markets are making a pretty devastatingly negative judgment.
Not true. Larry, that's not true. So let's just establish a couple facts about quote unquote the markets. Number one, there are two markets and they behave totally differently and sometimes inversely to each other. There's the stock market and there's the bond market. With respect to the stock market, what they are debating, and you're right, Larry, is what is the effective long-term rate of return a dollar needs to generate in order to pay me back that dollar. That is what the fundamental stock market does. And what we have seen for many years with trade imbalances, trade deficits, and close to zero interest rates, of which more of that happened under Democrats and Republicans, we have allowed the stock market to inflate past historical averages. What we've actually seen happen in the last week is what most people would call mean reversion. The stock market is still way above where it was last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What has happened is that the forward multiples have compressed. So that's number one. That's a fact. And then with respect to bonds, what we are seeing now is there are two very complicated issues. In the last 2 days, we saw one part of the bond market totally get out of whack. And what we know is that the yields changed materially in a very acute way, which is atypical of how the bond market typically digests a philosophical change in approach to policy. What we heard in the last 24 hours is a lot of this move may have been attributed to an enormous levered bet on U.S. treasuries by a Japanese hedge fund. It will take 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 weeks for us to really know. Separately, what we do know, though, where the structural complexity of the market, and this is where, Larry, I agree with you, is acute and important to observe, is in the credit markets for private companies. And that is where you have to pay a lot of attention.